fact of life in
Balls down
tennis.
to the chairs left, please.
But I think she had a
Play.
little hiccup last week, and I think it was difficult conditions, a slower court, not the best for her, high bouncing, and I think that this is the test to see whether that took a little of that pressure off, and she's back into form on a court which suits her a little bit better.
Remember that Steffi Graf last year here was so dominating in the championship. She beat Chris Evert and Martina Navratilova to win the tournament. Didn't lose a set in the championship and didn't even look like it in the semi-final or the final. This is Steffi Graf serving first point of the match. Virginia, does Steffi feel some additional pressure because she's playing against someone from her homeland?
I don't really think so. She played in Australia and beat her in what was a comfortable score, but quite a close match. She didn't play fantastically well against her the last time they played.
I say that because sometimes you go out, if you're in, say, Steffi's shoes and you play against an American, you lose. Well, in Germany, it's just another story that you get lost. In her case, probably not just another story, but you go and lose to somebody from your homeland, it's kind of a competitive thing.
Without question.
15-30.
That Claudia does so well is that she keeps the ball deep. She's very consistent. She strokes the ball nice and smoothly off both sides. It seems to me that she can make Steffi hit a lot of balls, but she doesn't really know how to win the points. Doesn't have a finishing shot.
First game of the match and a break point for Claudia Kohde-Kilsch. And a double fault, so Steffi Graf is trailing in the first set, 1-0. Claudia Kohde-Kilsch will serve when we come back. Women's singles from the Lipton. More in a moment. 15-love, 1-0. Claudia Kohde-Kilsch. Virginia, when you look at Claudia serving, it reminds me a little bit of another player whose name I'm just trying to generate in my own mind, and I will in a moment. It's a very dodgy kind of a ball toss and swing. Betty Stover.
Well, it gets a little bit of a hitch in it. It starts off fine, the serve of hers, but suddenly she lets her elbow go down at the back, and then it's sort of, you on tentative hooks know whether it's going to go in afterwards, but you can see she's tall, doesn't really use that height. But actually, I think it's quite difficult to read precisely because of that sort of hesitation in the middle.
Interesting comment. 15-30. And Steffi Graf has a chance immediately to break back. She's 24 years old, Claudia Kohde-Kilsch. Steffi, of course, just 18. Hardly believe it. to look at her and be around her. She is so much maturity at such a young age. Kohde-Kilsch is listed, by the way, as living in Monte Carlo, probably for the same reason so many men go down there, as for tax reasons. Not so for Steffi Graf. I think it would be a kick in the teeth of Germany if she did that. She still lives and resides there and has not made a move. So Graf breaks back. It is 1 game all first set. These two played together in the Federation Cup, in which was, I think, in all of tennis of 1988, or 87 rather, the best comeback of any match. They played against Chris Evert and Pam Shriver when Germany played the US in Federation Cup. Listen to this. It was the deciding match. They were 1 match all after the singles. Doubles was the decider. The Americans led 1 set and 4-love and lost it.
And in that match, although any tennis player knows that a match is not over until it's over, I was so sure that there was no way that they could come back. I think I gave myself the liberty of saying that this match was virtually the Americans. And it was really dramatic. What a climb back.
Now a game point for Steffi Graf. Remember, she lost her first serve game of the match. Two games to 1 for the number 1 seed in this tournament, and of course the number 1 player in the world, Steffi Graf. She's playing Claudia Kohde-Kilsch from West Germany. Back with more in a minute. Kohde-Kilsch serving. We're on serve after 2 serve breaks. 2 games to 1 for Graf.
And a much more aggressive point from Steffi. She was really hitting those balls into the wind. She is this side.
This tournament is going to move a little later next year, March 20th to April 2nd. But I will say the weather is perfect at this time of the year here, Fred.
Perfect down here today, Cliff. Couldn't be better playing conditions. Slight breeze, very humid.
You're listening to Fred Stolle. He is about, 20 steps from Steffi Graf at courtside.
But Cliff, it's those forehands that are just missing that sort of worry me about Steffi. You know, the great thrill of watching her play is when she just rifles all those forehands one after another as winners. Suddenly the errors still creeping in there. And this is a forehand return of Steffi, and the thing to look for is the fact that she actually leaves the ground as she hits the ball. Now, she always has done that, but she's not quite getting her weight into the ball as she was in the past. She's catching it a little bit later than she used to. She's letting the ball play her.
It's interesting to me watching that replay, and I know you know this, Virginia, but she takes a couple of steps in, then she takes the split step, which means that the actual movement forward is unnecessary, except that it puts her in a forward aggressive frame of mind. She doesn't know the meaning of defense.
Oh, that's a good volley.
Yes. Good firm volley there by Kohde-Kilsch as she executed that one, the first one, and then set up the second one and hit it deep enough to get it behind Steffi Graf.
And of course, that would be the serve that you would imagine would cause Steffi the most trouble, the slice into her backhand, so that it doesn't give her a chance to get around and hit that forehand properly, nor does she like it off the backhand side.
Game point for Graf. Watch her backhand too, talking about the good parts of Steffi's game. She can slice it, and usually does when she's at the back of the court, but she can also come through it and hit topspin when she needs to.
What a wizard as a predictor, Cliff. And this is about as good a return as you can make. She really went for it, got early preparation. She left the ground on that, but that was all in the process of the shot, and it was on balance.
That's the key. You know, when amateurs watch this, they think, gee, I've got to get off the ground. It's not a good thing to do unless you've played a lot of tennis and your timing is perfect.
Second service.
As long as you're moving into the ball, it's probably okay, but it's when you fall off the ball.
Advantage Graf.
Kohde-Kilsch has lost all rhythm on the serve down here. That second serve, she gets the arm up and just basically is trying to push the ball over. That's the second double fault in this game for her.
And this is break point for Graf. Called wide. Break a serve for Graf. Take a look at this backhand here from Steffi. You saw the topspin shot. Now look how she starts the racket high, then comes through it, and then finishes behind, or I should say underneath the ball after she makes contact. That's the other shot that she has, the topspin or the flat shot, and then that slice. Of course, that slice backhand also finishes up high. But just after you make contact with the ball, the racket head is going down and then up.
Well, twice she's come into the net, and talking to Peter Graf, he said, did you see her playing? How many times she came into the net the other day? So it's something that they're pleased about that she's working on. Her approach shot still, she rushes a little bit, doesn't quite get it as deep as she could. That was very close to being an ace, but quarter fault.
Remember the Pascal Paradis match from yesterday that we hope you had a chance to see against Chris Evert. So many breaks of serve. Pascal didn't win but one serve game in the match. So far, 4 games played here, 3 serve breaks.
You see, that was going to be an approach shot, but she rushed that one so much that she didn't really even make a contact. You have to be there in time, but take your time with the actual shot.
Chance for a 4th break here of the match. She beat Chris in the final last year, losing only 3 games. Martina in the semis was her victim. I have never, Virginia, seen a better sustained performance over 2 days in women's tennis of any caliber than I saw from Steffi in the semi-finals and final last year.
Yeah, and as you just watched, she had an opportunity, Steffi, of coming in before, but she chose the hardest way of winning that point, but she did it so well.
Deuce.
Excellent serve. You can sort of feel that the confidence around this time of the match is beginning to grow in Steffi. She's made a few errors still, but they haven't been tentative errors. They've been just slightly sloppy ones.
Game point. That's a great point. Gee, Claudia kind of ambling at the baseline. She's a much taller girl, of course, 6 foot, and Steffi, on the other hand, running, much more lively. Interesting contrast in movement style. Deuce. That's her first ace. She's come close a few times. Game point. (75-2). That was Steffi Graf's match record last year. She only lost twice, both to Martina Navratilova. We'll be back. Miami or South Florida area, we finally found him. His name is Hollywood, and he's from the Miami Seaquarium here on Key Biscayne. He throws his racket too, by the way, just like Fred when he gets mad.
Takes instruction pretty well, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, I liked his grip.
Oh, 4-1 for Steffi Graf in the first set.
It's not an Eastern grip, that's a Floridian grip. as we were saying, Claudia needs to find a way of finishing off the points to win them, and it would seem obvious that the place to do that from would be at the net, but you have to set it up so well. Like, that's not going to get her anywhere.
She's got to be a little closer to the net to make that first volley. Right off the shoelaces, the difficult one. A few people today, Virginia, thought that Claudia Kohde-Kilsch may have a chance in this match because Steffi Graf had not been playing at the top of her form the last couple of weeks, but seems to be in pretty good form today.
Well, I think that Claudia gives her such a nice ball to hit that this is the sort of match that will improve her game.
From the men's singles of last night, good news for the USA. US Davis Cupper, newly named Jay Berger, is in the quarterfinals. He'll play Machir in the quarterfinals tomorrow. Wielander will play Krickstein in the quarters. Chesnikov will play Noah tomorrow. Five games to one, Steffi Graf. By the way, our feature match tomorrow will be that Chesnikov-Noah match. Chesnikov from the Soviet Union, of course. I've been saying that he's from Russia, and they have some problem with that because, of course, it is the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, and, well, he's from the Soviet Union. Russia is one of the provinces. The other, a quarterfinal match, Yared and Connors.
Well, an overrule from the chair, from Marlene van Noordwijk. Claudia didn't really like this. She gave it a pretty solid, clean hit, full reach. It looked pretty good, that ball.
I thought it was good from here.
Yeah, I think both players would have been happy if it had been called in.
Oh, yeah, great attempt.
She turned a very difficult serve into an excellent shot. I'm very glad to see Steffi coming into the net more, but you just feel as if she is so uncomfortable there she wants to get away from it too fast.
The technology stands behind you. Can you please remain silent during play? Thank you.
Dirty.
Good point from Claudia, using the wind, which is coming in from the side a little bit, moving her around.
Oh, that's a great shot.
Advantage Kohde-Kilsch.
Graf has come in, as you see, 5 times. She's won 2 of those points. So Papa Graf's not going to be too happy with that statistic. Kohde-Kilsch has come in 12 times and has won 6. Even that's not so good. Kohde-Kilsch breaks Steffi Graf, who is serving for the set, but Graf is still ahead 5 games to 2 here in the first set of this best of 3 women's singles match from the Lipton. Graf ahead 5-2, the man with the rather dubious distinction of having been fined more than anybody else in this tournament, man or woman. Ken Flack of the U.S. Davis Cup team, he's a doubles player of course, been fined $2,500.
For not very attractive behavior. Took a ball and aimed it at a lines lady.
And let fly.
And hit her.
That'll get you a fine every time.
Plus quite a few other unniceties.
Well, Kohde-Kilsch has not won her serve yet. She's serving to stay in the set. The 2 games that she's won have both been on breaks of Steffi Graf's serve. And it's love 15. As Fred pointed out, she's having some difficulty, and Fred, maybe you can reference the fact that it is blowing some, and that hurts her ball toss.
Well, I think the breeze down here is not enough to affect the ball toss. There is a little bit of a problem from that end at the sun. The sun is moving maybe across in the line of sight at the moment, but I think she's just uptight on the serve and doesn't know whether to push it, hit it, or throw it at the moment.
She served 4 double faults.
But strangely enough, she always looks like that on her serve, and yet she's really a pretty consistent server. And as you saw in that second serve, she really went for it. But I always think when the wind's coming behind you, the second serve is so difficult. That's good play.
I think if she had a little more confidence on the serve at the moment, Virginia, she would really be pushing Steffi Graf, because off the ground, I think Kohde-Kilsch at this stage of the match is hitting the ball just as well as Steffi Graf. It's the serve that's making the difference at the moment.
30 all.
Another rushed shot from Steffi. You know, I keep thinking she's just getting in control of things, and then some errors slip in, and that's very much a sign of lack of confidence. If you're really confident, you're prepared to take your time, stay out there just as long as is necessary.
First time that Claudia has won her serve, it's 5-3, and Steffi will serve for the second time for the set. I suppose you have to remember, Virginia, that Steffi Graf many times last year, specifically the semi-final and the final of the French Championship, which was her first Grand Slam win, was very close to losing matches and could have lost a lot more than she did.
Well, I think, Cliff, what that proves is that she's a real fighter, and mentally she's very, very tough, so that even when she is not playing at her best, she has proven that she's a winner. And that is the sign of a really tough competitor.
The semi-final that I referenced in Paris was, of course, against Sabatini in the final match against Martina.
And Sabatini led 5-3 in the final set.
And so did Martina, didn't she? Or she had a break in the final set at least.
She had a break.
Yeah. Remember, as you watch that, or as you read that statistic, that, oh my goodness, she only lost 2 matches. One to Wimbledon in the final, and the US Open final to Martina.
Excuse me. Oh my God, was it tight? No.
You heard Steffi saying that, oh my God, it was inside. Watch it.
You know, the wind's coming from the right to left as we look at it.
I think it was good. It's a set point. It would have been the set too if that had been called good. Really, I think it was good, Virginia, and I don't think she complains unless she has a very good cause to do so.
No, I think she handles herself so well, and I know once in a while she'll get a little irritated, but that's just when she's dissatisfied with herself.
Set point again.
What a shot.
Steffi needed 2 serve games to win that set. She lost her first attempt to win it. She won the second. 6-3 for the world's #1 player. First set. Point standings, Virginia Slim's Championship Series going into this tournament just barely over Steffi Graf. Well, after this tournament, Steffi will overtake her. Then Pam Shriver, Gabriela Sabatini, as you see. And there's Claudia Kohde-Kilsch coming into this event. She was 7th.
Now 15.
And Claudia, as I said at the beginning, one of the most consistent performers, always gets through to her allotted position, hardly ever loses to somebody ranked lower than she. Doesn't actually win too many events.
15.
But she is the Wimbledon doubles titleist, and she won that along with Helena Sukova last year. They beat Betsy Nagelson and Liz Smiley in that final, and she won the US Open doubles with Sukova the year before.
15.
New tennis balls in play at the moment, and so they're flying through the air. Conditions are warming up down here. Still a bit of a breeze, but very humid.
Virginia, makes me think, as you look at the amount of money that she's won, as you said, she hasn't won that many tournaments. She's always up there, that you don't have to win tournaments to make millions in this game.
And there is a lot of money also in doubles. You know, she won 5 doubles tournaments last year, so that's good money. But she's ranked #9. She always does very well. Well, it's too good, but as I think we've seen today, Claudia is a very intelligent tennis player out there. She really moves them around the opponent, and you see how quickly Steffi Graf's bank account moves up.
Deuce.
Steffi and Tracy Austin, the 2 youngest players ever in the history of the sport to reach $1 million, and 2 days ago Gabriela Sabatini joined them, the 3rd youngest player to win $1 million.
Gee, she put a little what, English on that? Is that what it's called in cricketing terms?
It was a pretty good serve from Kohde-Kilsch, that one, but she just never had time to get the racket on the ball. The velocity of that forehand from Graf was just too much.
It's break point. And a break. First game of the second set to Steffi Graf. This is women's singles, and this is Key Biscayne. What have you? Here's the return from Steffi Graf. Take a look at this. Look at that form that she has, the way that she turns her shoulders, and you see that caught Claudia Kohde-Kilsch at the feet. Nothing for her to do. This is second game of the second set.
Well, she didn't come in on a good enough approach shot, but she actually was in position to make that volley. She volleys awfully well in doubles. It's strange. It's a little instinctual thing in singles. That's something new in Steffi's game. When she gets that short board, she usually takes a big swing. That time she just pushed it. Pretty good first serve percentage for Kohde-Kilsch, despite the fact that she said she was looking a little unhappy with it. She's deceptive, always.
Interesting also that she served 4 double faults.
15-30.
You talk about the first serve percentages, and then you look down and you see 4 double faults. So when she missed her first serve, she was in a lot of trouble. Unforced errors, that's what killed her. So 15 unforced errors. Game point for Steffi Graf. She won the first set 6-3. There were numerous serve breaks in that set. She already has a break in the first game of the second set. This is for 2 games to love if she wins the point. Kohde-Kilsch had 40-15 in the first game and lost it on serve.
Advantage Graf.
Well, an overrule there from the chair umpire. Claudia Kohde-Kilsch has not moved. Shakes her head, but Steffi gets a good angle on that serve to that first court, Virginia.
I think that's a serve that she's really developed. She's realized that is probably her strongest serve, and go with your strength. It's got that little bit of slice on it, although if you watch the second serve, you'll notice that she nearly always kicks her second serve.
Game Graf. She needs 2 now.
For somebody that has a slice return of serve, like the one that you saw Kohde-Kilsch try to hit, Steffi Graf's second serve doesn't have that much vim on it to where you cannot attack it. So she is attackable on second serve. 6-3, 2-love Graf. We saw her play just over a week ago, Virginia. I had the feeling that, well, there might have been a reason for the fact that she was missing that forehand, maybe the surface, and that might have had something to do with it. But she has not improved as dramatically in the last week as I thought she would have. She's still missing a few. When you compare what she's playing like now to a year ago, there is a dramatic difference. She's not as good.
I definitely agree with that. I definitely think that she is still struggling to find her form, but I feel that she's sort of verging towards that in this match. The patches when she's looking very confident.
15-30.
But it doesn't look as if she's quite out on a mission. You know, all through the last couple of years when she would go out in court and just push winners around all over the place, try to get off the court as quickly as possible. She just seemed to be out there with one single idea in her head.
Great. That's a great lob. Having said what I just said, you have to remember, and this is another break point for Steffi Graf, she won the Australian relatively easily, and I would not bet against her here.
I think that she's still such a great player that even if she is a little bit off, she's still so good, she still wins.
15-40.
Graf.
3 games to love. That represents 1 serve break for Steffi Graf. She won the first set 6-3. Back at the Lipton in a moment. And Dick Vitale will be at the Kemper Arena, Kansas City tonight. Join us for that on ESPN. College basketball, of course. NAIA action.
15-9.
It's that same wide, effective serve from Steffi. Any net cords off this net this week have just dropped completely dead.
The 3-love lead that Steffi Graf has, by the way, represents 2 serve breaks, not 1. And she won the first set 6-3. Claudia Kohde-Kilsch has won only 1 serve game in the match.
It's reminiscent of that match with Pascal Paradis and Chris Evert yesterday.
That's right. But she's been broken twice in the first set, and here's another chance for Claudia Kohde-Kilsch to break serve.
She can still hit the good serves in when she needs them.
Great stuff.
And Steffi did well to actually even hit that ball, but it turned into a little bit of a disadvantage, that net cord. Nicely handled by Claudia. Oh, bad luck.
Steffi's been able to execute the volleys, but the overhead she seems to be having trouble with by hitting them pretty much straight back down the centre of the court, giving Kohde-Kilsch another crack at that passing shot. Then she retreats to the baseline.
Suddenly the net is coming into play.
Game point for 4-love for Steffi. Martina, by the way, if you're wondering where she is, well, she's taken a few weeks off. She lost to Chris in the semi-final in Australia, then won 3 tournaments in a row. Let's see, Dallas, San Francisco, and Washington. And then Steffi won in San Antonio. And, of course, Gabriela beat Steffi last week in Boca Raton.
Game, Graf.
Game. 4 games to love. She had 5-1 in the first set, served for it once, eventually won it 6-3 on her second effort at serving for the set.
And Steffi there, only having played 3 tournaments, this is her 4th.
And obviously the one she lost was the one we talked about in Boca Raton to Gabriela Sabatini, who lost to Mary Jo Fernandez in this tournament. Mary Jo, remember, is already through to the semi-final. She played earlier today, won her match, and we'll show you some of that match later today. In fact, after this match.
Claudia Kohde-Kilsch now just going for broke on the forehand side. A few errors have crept in there, as the stats showed in the first set.
Yeah, you begin to get a little. Yeah, you begin to get a little desperate, don't you, at this stage, Fred? Great shot. I actually think that Steffi's playing pretty well out here today. I think that one other thing that has happened in the last year is that people have had to find some sort of solution to playing her. So they've brought in all sorts of different tactics. And she's had to adjust.
30-40.
And she doesn't really run around her backhand as much as she used to, and that used to scare everybody to death when she ran around every backhand and hit these incredible forehands. But it shows that she has more confidence in her backhand.
Deuce.
That was break point for 5-love lead for Graf in the second set. It's deuce.
One thing with Steffi Graf, though, Virginia, she likes to go out and work on weaknesses. They go and just hit hundreds and thousands of balls, whether it's she learnt to play the slice and then come over the topspin backhand. Likes to work.
Drop the line.
Advantage Graf.
She had to have 2 coaches at one stage, didn't she? Because they couldn't keep up with her. She wanted to play so much. So it was a couple of years ago. I don't think she gets enough matches.
Coach now is Pavel Slozel, and of course her father also has got a lot of input, doesn't he?
Yeah, the father has a lot of input.
Most fathers do.
Long. Well, Fred's a father, and his son Sandon playing some great tennis, got a scholarship to TCU in Fort Worth, Texas. Congratulations, Fred.
Thank you.
Deuce.
Advantage Graf.
Well, Claudia a little upset with that one. I don't think she misses that one too often, because the approach, again, as Virginia alluded to earlier, was hurried, and it wasn't very deep. She had time to execute the shot, but didn't.
Game Graf.
So Graf has broken Claudia Kohde-Kilsch. Well, poor Claudia, she's only won 1 serve game in the match so far. 6-3, 5-love for Graf. Steffi Graf is serving for the match. She won the first set 6-3.
Quite.
She leads 5 games to love. The match has been going on for 58 minutes.
Now.
100 points have been played now. 20 separate the two. Graf has won 60. And Kohde-Kilsch 40.
Good heavens, I don't know how she missed that, because she actually made a magnificent backhand approach that time. It fell inches from the line. She sat with the entire court open for her forehand volley. Good return.
15-40.
Break point now for Claudia Kohde-Kilsch. She broke Steffi twice in the first set.
Game Kohde-Kilsch.
So Kohde-Kilsch breaks Graf for the third time in the match. It's now 5 games to 1, and Kohde-Kilsch the third.
5-1.
A lack of concentration, maybe. So much in control. 5 games to love. She knows there's no way she can lose it, Graf. Played a rather loose game. To play the final of the Australian Championships against Chris Evert, they had to come off 90-minute interruption, and they had a chance to watch the Tyson Larry Holmes heavyweight world boxing title fight when they were in the locker room. She had something interesting to say afterwards. Wide.
Well, she did well to cover the court there.
Well, when the match was over, they asked her about closing the roof, because, of course, that was the first Grand Slam final that has ever been played indoors. She said it was the same for both of us. If it hadn't have been for the roof, we'd still be watching Holmes fall down a couple of more times.
She's funny, you know. Because she's so businesslike on the court and just gets on with the job, I think people don't actually understand the person behind it yet. And, you know, she isn't a very public person. She's quite a private person, but she handles herself awfully well. She makes witty speeches. Her English is immaculate. She's got a good head on her shoulders.
She is relatively well protected, though, by the entourage that goes around with her, her father and her coach and everybody, isn't she?
She's very patient with everybody. She's always very happy to talk to you.
15-40.
And it is match point for the #1 player in the world, and naturally the #1 seed here. And if she wins this point or one of the next 2, then Claudia Kohde-Kilsch will have only won 1 serve game in the match.
game 7. It's Graf.
The next round of this championship, Steffi Graf will play the winner of Barbara Potter and Stephanie Rahe. You'll get a chance to see that match later this afternoon, but we're also going to show you some other interesting excerpts from other women's singles matches today. Miami Heat will play from that new Miami arena. That's basketball, of course, the NBA.